Hey everyone, Akam Milkshake here. In this video, we are gonna be looking at Graf Zeppelin, who is obtainable in the special construction.
指揮官か。我が名はゼッペリン。さあ、条件がすべて揃った。では開幕するとしよう。終焉のシンフォニーを。
Graf Zeppelin is a super rare Iron-blood aircraft carrier. She is of the Graf Zeppelin class and her sister is Peter Strasser. She is voiced by Ai Kayano, who voiced other Azur characters like Atago, both Kagas, both Renouns, and Zeppi. She also voiced Darkness from Konosuba, Meiko Honma from Anohana, and Shiro from No Game No Life. Okay, so let's talk about her naval references. Graf Zeppelin, like all the other aircraft carriers in Iron Blood, never entered service during the war. For Graf Zeppelin's case, her construction's progress always got interrupted. At the end of 1939, she was 85% complete and was expected to be completed sometime in the middle of 1940. However, Germany needed to defend Norway's coastline and port facilities after their conquest of Norway in April 1940, so the German Navy needed a lot of coastal guns and anti-aircraft batteries. Admiral Erich Raeder, in a naval conference with Hitler, proposed to stop the construction of Graf Zeppelin because the final installation of her guns would require an additional 10 months or more even after she was commissioned. Hitler agreed and Graf Zeppelin's 15cm guns were transferred to Norway. This is why Graf Zeppelin in the game does not have any anti-aircraft guns in her equipment slot. In 1942, Raeder grew anxious because there were so many cases where aircraft carriers became useful in the Navy, such as when the British carriers critically damaged Bismarck and the Japanese raid on Pearl Harbor. So after another discussion with Hitler, Graf Zeppelin's construction resumed. Graf Zeppelin was expected to be ready for combat by the end of 1943 to 1944. But in late January 1943, Hitler was greatly disappointed with the German Navy because of his perceived view that his surface fleets were lackluster, so he ordered all of his larger ships to be taken out of service and scrapped. This included Graf Zeppelin. So because of her lack of contributions to the war, Graf Zeppelin in-game mentions how her name doesn't mean much in her self-introduction.
我はゼッペリン。この名は捨てても構わぬが、呼びやすいようなら我をこう呼びたまえ。願望か。世界を滅ぼすことだ。だが今は、K の呼びかけには応えよう。K はもう、我が総軍の一部になっているからな。
Graf Zeppelin's shark rigging actually looks rougher and not as sleek compared to the other Iron Blood ships. Furthermore, her shark's lower jaw isn't red in her default skin, whereas the other Iron Blood ships are. I'm not sure if this was intended, but it could be a reference to her incompleteness. Reason why I'm unsure if this was intended is because in her beach skin, her rigging looks more complete and has the iconic red lower jaw. Even her sister ship Peter Strasser, whose construction was also incomplete, has the lower red jaw and her rigging looks smoother. So I'll leave this to your own interpretation, but I like to think that it is the former. Another design choice is the name Iron Blood Hawk in her skill. Hawks in politics essentially mean that someone favors war over anything else. This is opposed to the dove, which symbolizes peace. As such, this skill name parallels Graf Zeppelin's personality, as she often talks about destruction and war.
高いところは好きだ。すべてを見渡し、すべての破滅も眼中に収められるからな。では始めよう。我らの破壊を。
Okay, so let's move on to Graf Zeppelin's skills. Her first skill is called Iron Blood Wings. Reduces damage received by all Iron Blood ships in the fleet by 15%. For each Iron Blood ship in the same fleet as this ship, increases this ship's aviation by 5%, up to a maximum of 3 stacks. This is an amazing skill because it balances Graf Zeppelin's supportive and offensive capabilities. This max increase in her aviation by 15% when using all 3 stacks is impressive, as it pairs well with her amazing aviation stat. Compared to the other aircraft carriers, she has the 14th highest aviation stat of 428 at max level. Her next skill is called Iron Blood Hawk. When this ship is equipped with at least one Iron Blood aircraft, increases the efficiency of the ship's aircraft slots by 30%. This skill is also really good because it further boosts her offensive capabilities. With this skill, her base efficiencies of her fighters increases to 150%, while her dive bombers and next aircraft slot have their efficiencies increased to 160%, which when paired with a relatively high aviation stat, makes her a very strong aircraft carrier. It is also very easy to activate this skill because you just need one Iron Blood aircraft. Currently, there are 3 suitable planes that can be used to trigger this skill. For fighters, there's the prototype BF-109G, for dive bombers, there's the Ju-87C, and lastly for torpedo bombers, there's the Ju-87D4. Since we are on the topic of planes, let's jump straight to her equipment loadouts. For fighters, the prototype BF-109G isn't exactly the best fighter for Graf Zeppelin because it doesn't intercept planes. Depending on how you see it, this can become a crucial flaw as this makes Graf Zeppelin unable to provide passive AA when enemy planes are present. Another flaw is the modifiers of its AP rocket bomb. It may have exceptional modifiers against light and medium armor, but its modifiers against heavy armor is very low at 50%. This is unlike other fighters that carry 500-pound Tier 3 or 1000-pound Tier 0 bombs, which have a relatively more balanced modifier against all armor types. Hence, other alternatives to the BF-109G include the F-6F Hellcat, the Sea-Fang, the Sea Hornet, A-7M Repul, the Kawanishi N1K3 Shidenkai, the F-7F Tiger Cat, and F-4U Pirate Squad. For dive bombers, if you have either the BF-109G or the Ju-87D4 torpedo bomber, you don't need to use the purple Ju-87C. It has lower armor modifiers than the best option you can go for, which is the Rainbow prototype Tenrai with its 800kg AP bomb. The next best option is the experimental XSB-3C1 followed by the SB-2C Helldiver. For Graf Zeppelin's third slot, a torpedo bomber will be better than having another dive bomber because the torpedoes stay in the field much longer and they do more damage than dive bombers. So since the BF-109G and the Ju-87C are not as good compared to others, the best Iron Blood plane for her is the Ju-97D4. Other temporary alternatives will be the XT-B2D1 Sky Pirate, TBM Avenger, or the all-rounder Barracuda. Moving on to skins, she only has one skin in the game so far called Beachside Earth. This is very interesting because now her shark has the red lower jaw as compared to her default skin. It also looks more complete and has a sleeker design. Other than her amazing assets, I still think her original art looks a lot better, but I do find the Manju sitting on her head in her chibi art very adorable. So what are my thoughts about Graf Zeppelin? Even though I had her for a long time, I didn't really use her much because there were other aircraft carriers on my radar. But now, ever since I started using her to farm for the priority Iron Blood ships, I started to see her value even more. Sometimes, she even becomes the MVP in certain battles. What I like about Graf Zeppelin is not just from her design alone, but also her amazing supportive capabilities while still dishing out lots of damage. She also has the third highest HP stat among all the aircraft carriers in the game so far, which when paired with her damage reduction skill, increases her survivability significantly. Yes, she is very niche, but she does her job exceptionally well as a supporter and damage dealer in Iron Blood fleets. Hence, she will definitely come in handy, especially when farming for Iron Blood priority ships. Alright, so here are all my thoughts about Graf Zeppelin. What do you guys think? Do let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do leave a like if you guys did, subscribe for more awesome content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.